Cut out the jibber jabber. Don't be babbling like a fool. Say what you got to say. That's all. Then shut your dang pie hole.
Hey, welcome back. It is Monday Madness on the Prepared Mind channel. I want to thank everyone for being here, for coming here, but definitely I want to thank everyone for sharing the message of wake up. Seriously, wake up. Use your eyes, use your brain, listen to what's being said to us. We are being lied to by our government. We're being lied to by the mainstream media. We're being lied to by everybody in positions of power. But we did have one mainstream media star who has shown himself to be a voice of reason. Now, there are many, of course, and there are many alternative sources for news. But when you get somebody who has been at the top, been on literal mainstream media, they've seen the set, they've seen behind the set, behind the curtain, they see, they understand, they know who's pulling the strings. And one such person has been Tucker Carlson. He says that President Trump is not just on the side of Israel. He says he is a slave to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin King Bibi Netanyahu. I have to ask this question, folks. Is Tucker Carlson wrong? You may not like his looks. I never liked his fucking bow tie. But is he wrong? What do your ears hear coming from the president, the vice president, Congress, the mainstream media regarding what's happening? What do you hear? Everything's fine. It's all under control. Go America. But when you look with your eyes, what do you see? What do you see happening? You see Israel blowing the fuck out of Gaza for years. It is literally a pile of rubble. No buildings, no streets, no infrastructure, just destruction. What does that tell you about the people who have done that? Now we see Israel with our eyes. We see it. They're bombing southern Israel. They're destroying Christian sites, Christian churches, Christian people, as well as the other civilians living there. We see it with our eyes. What does that tell you is happening? Who are the good guys? Why is our president cowering before Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel? Why is he cowering? Why is he pushing in Bibi's chair in front of the world? Why is he doing Netanyahu's business? Well, let me tell you this. Benjamin Netanyahu came out, or his artificial intelligence duplicate, and said that the Trump administration is reporting directly to him on a daily basis regarding what is going on in Iran and what the U.S. government is going to do for him. I'm going to call him Satan Yahoo, because I don't see any goodness coming from the Israelis. What does history, what does the Bible teach us about that character known as Jesus? Did he go around blowing up cities, murdering people because he didn't like them? No. He healed people. He tried teaching people. He tried giving them faith in a belief system that didn't involve killing innocent women and children. There's a big difference, isn't there? Now, let me tell you a direct quote from Benjamin Netanyahu. Speaking of Trump, this is what Netanyahu said. He, as in Trump, he reported to me in detail, as members of this administration do every day. That's right, folks. An evil bastard, Netanyahu, who is of the synagogue of Satan, the same religious group that Jesus pointed out were satanic. He's claiming that he owns our president, our vice president, our entire government. Now, we have to ask ourselves, is this bullshit? Is it real? If the leader of a nation said, the United States reports to me every day about what they're doing in our war, and it was not true, what would any president say? What would any president do as head of our country, the United States of America? What should he have done? Well, he should have rebuked the little bastard, the little Polish bastard pretending to be a real Semite. He would rebuke him and he would say, that's not true. And then our president would go to the Congress and say, we need to cut their support, cut their money, and demand an apology for this. It's an outright fucking crime, as far as I'm concerned, for Netanyahu to claim he owns our government and runs it. But as it is, as it appears, as it stands, Trump is a whore to Bibi. The United States government is a whore to King Bibi and Israel. They are Bibi's bitches. Our nation is controlled by Jewish Satanists because no one is standing up to him. No one is denying that his claims are true, which means they agree, they understand, they acknowledge, and they behave just as King Bibi says they're doing. In other words, Netanyahu's not lying about that. What do you want to talk about, folks? This is Monday Madness. Get your comments down below. I prefer all caps. I prefer all caps so that I can see what is going on, what you guys want to talk about. When I get done with my monologue, we're definitely going to discuss your thoughts. Now, I used to be living in California, but I lived way up in the mountains, way up north, and I had well water. But a lot of people are asking, what are they putting in California's water? Now, we've learned that Eric swallows well. One moment. We have heard that Eric swallow well, but I call him swallows well. We've heard that he's been told you should not run for governor because of his alleged prostitution, potential rape, and sex crimes. He should drop out of the race. Well, the other Democrat in the race is Katie Porter. She's a California Democrat and a candidate, and she has some serious abuse allegations, verbal abuse allegations, physical abuse allegations, and I believe sexual abuse allegations, which is repulsive because this left-wing commie whore is ugly as a mud fence, and she needs to be arrested too. Every politician, I think, holding office today needs to be replaced. And every politician, every one of them, needs to be tarred and feathered and sent home and told to never run for office again. Do you agree? Do you disagree? These politicians are all turning out to be absolutely worthless, absolutely destructive. They violate the law and they do nothing to help our nation. Nothing. Now, what I can tell you, actually, Congressman Swallowswell has today actually dropped out of the California governor's race because of the allegations of sexual assault, because now there's video evidence and it's in public domain. Shouldn't he be arrested? Shouldn't he be charged with crimes? Oh, wait, yeah, no. Nobody gets arrested at that government level. The worst that happens to them seems to be that they're just kept from power, held out of positions of higher power by those who are better liars and better criminals and better manipulators. It is a big club, folks, as George Carlin said, and we ain't in it. We are ruled by these evil bastards. at the local level, the state level, the federal level, and yes, the global level. Thank you, Mikey G. He says, Bibi, the Antichrist. And he actually is. He is the opposite of Christ. That's what the Antichrist is. The opposite of good, the opposite of kind, the opposite of forgiving, the opposite of intelligent, the opposite of wise, the opposite of gracious. Everything, right? Everything. Let us continue. China. China is not going to put up with a whole lot of American bullshit coming out of the White House. Because all the bullshit coming out of the White House is actually coming from Bibi Netanyahu. Now, apparently, allegedly, there is now a United States government blockade. That's right. The U.S. Navy is allegedly blockading all ships entering or exiting the Strait of Hormuz. Allegedly at 10 a.m. it was to begin. I don't know if it's true. I don't. But that's what the mainstream media and even some right-wing media is reporting. China is not going to allow this. They're not. Now, how can China object if the United States Navy truly is stopping all ships entering and exiting the Strait of Hormuz? China has a lot of power over the United States and our economy. They can object to this move by dumping $500 billion in their remaining U.S. treasuries, i.e. the dollar. They can trade the dollar away and not take any more. They've already been de-dollarizing, coming down from trillions to now about $500 billion of them left. China can cut the United States off, meaning we're not going to send any more goods to the United States, which would create shortages of goods that Americans have come to depend on because our own government years ago decided to screw us all over and send our jobs to China. China can pull all of its money out of the stock market. They can dump U.S. corporate stocks, corporate bonds. They can just dump everything and lead us to a lot of financial harm. China has many small and large ways to financially harm and ruin our country. And if it's not ruined, they could just damage it very badly. This is all non-military action, by the way. Peace is never achieved with blockades. Blockades are an act of war. They have always been an act of war. And I think that they too should require congressional approval. Blockades are not negotiation, folks. Blockades create enemies. Blockades result in death. But remember, both Israel and Trump think death is how one negotiates. You threaten, you bomb, you starve. Geez, who wants to do business with people like that? Unbelievable. But here we are. Are you prepared? Do you have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense? Do you have a plan? Folks, a plan. Do you have the means to communicate if the power goes out, the lights go out? Do you have radio, CB? Do you have world band? Do you have walkie-talkies? How are you going to communicate? How are you going to learn what's going on? Unbelievable. But one of the problems I see is even if the United States wakes up, California wakes up, Texas wakes up, I have questions. Who are you going to vote for? Right? You're going to vote for the Cowboys, Or are you going to vote for the Detroit Lions? Right? People are rooting for a team, but it seems that every player on any team isn't really playing for the jersey they're wearing. Right? The guy saying he's a Dallas Cowboy wears the Cowboy uniform, but he's actually playing for Israel. The guy wearing the Boston Celtics uniform is really playing for Israel. The guy wearing the LA Dodgers uniform is actually playing for Israel. So, the disgraced Eric Swallowswell from California now has a left-wing billionaire who's so disgusted that he kicked Swallowswell out of his $26 million Beverly Hills mansion. And he told Swallowswell he wants the $1 million back that he gave him for his campaign because of the sex assault and rape allegations. Then this billionaire decides he's going to change political parties. Quote, this is his quote, "Fuck the Democratic Party. I am done. Finito," meaning finished. That's just awesome. Now wait until this guy discovers that Republicans will sell him out to Israel and fuck him over that way. Right? The only way to solve our problem is to remove all support from foreign corporations, foreign nations, and to just destroy lobbying and get lawyers out of fucking Washington. All lobbying is legalized bribery. It's buying votes. It's ownership of politicians. There need to be restrictive term limits for all politicians. And if any of them violate our rights or support another nation, then there should be a death penalty for it. It's called treason. We already have laws on treason. It's just they're not being applied to people committing treason. Passing an unconstitutional rule, law, bill, whatever. It's unconstitutional. They're pushing it. It's illegal. Therefore, it's treason. They should be hung by their neck until they are dead. When politicians start getting tarred and feathered, when politicians start getting thrown out of office, when politicians start getting tried for treason, the rest of them will run like rats. Rats. Just like those Israeli rats. I'm telling you, folks, we've got trouble. We got some great comments that are lining up. I'm seeing them and marking them for discussion. I'm telling you, folks, we've got big trouble. Big trouble. Let's keep going, though. In Ireland, the government is in big trouble, folks. The Irish government doesn't have the power they thought they had. They decided they're going to partially cut the fuel tax because protests are continuing to grow in Ireland. The people, meaning farmers, truckers, and just regular everyday Irish, are blockading ports, runways, roads. They're stopping everything. And guess what? There are some police there, Guardia police. There's some police that are trying to obey their political masters. But many police are calling in sick because they don't want to violate the people's rights. It's interesting to note, though. It's interesting to note that the government thinks this is about a fuel tax. It's about so much more than a fuel tax. It's about immigration. It's about bringing in non-Irish and allowing them to steal homes, literally, to kick people out of their homes and then put these illegal immigrants in there. It's not that they're just not Irish. They're not British. They're not from the UK. They're not from the United Kingdom. They're not even Europeans. They don't speak English. They don't share the culture, the traditions, or the religion of the people of Ireland. Before all of this started, how many of us thought of the Irish as living in a land covered in, well, bright green hills and grass? And the people there, very, very white. Many of them blonde and redheaded, lots of redheads. That's what the Irish are known for. White skin, redhead, green grass. They like to drink, they like to fight, they like poetry, they love their religion, they love their people, they love their land, they love their culture and traditions, and their own government is bringing in awful criminal people who have nothing in common. Why would they do that? Why would the government do that unless they were bought and paid for, controlled by a foreign organization that does not like Ireland, that hates the Irish people, that hates white people with red hair, blonde hair, and brown hair? The Irish people are this close to taking violent steps to remove their government. It needs to happen. I'm not encouraging it, but it needs to happen. It is dangerous for the Irish. It is dangerous for any country's people to stand up to their government. I got a news story, though, that you're going to find very interesting. So hear me out. The FBI today raided the Texas home of a 20-year-old suspect who allegedly threw a Molotov cocktail at Sam Altman's home. Who is Sam Altman? He is the CEO of OpenAI. Sam Altman has been accused by his own sister of raping her from the age of 3 up until she was a teen. I don't know if that's true, but it certainly is believable considering the elite and their mentality and who they have sided with, whose religion they seem to get behind. Courageous Cat checks in and says, Niall McConnell started a grassroots movement against the Islamist takeover of Ireland. I'm glad we have a name. I also know that today, Conor McGregor, the mixed martial arts champion, longtime champion, the Irishman, he's thinking of running as the leader of the Irish. He is encouraging them to continue protesting, refusing to obey the evil government that's trying to control them. So good for Conor McGregor and good for Niall McConnell. I want the Irish to wake up, to grow up. While I myself am not Irish, I'm not. They are my kinsmen, though, because I am Celtic and have Celtic blood, and I understand it. There's a lot more in common between Germans and the Scots and the Irish than most people would know or care to know. In any event, there we are. Know who you are. Know what you believe. Know what the facts are. Know your own truth. So this 20-year-old suspect allegedly threw a Molotov cocktail, which is essentially a bottle full of gasoline with a rag stuffed in the top, lit on fire, and then thrown at objects to burn them. Not a nice thing to do. But there's a reason a 20-year-old suspect did that. Let me take a couple guesses. He doesn't like Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI. He doesn't like him because artificial intelligence is stealing the jobs of real humans. Sam Altman, as I stated, has been accused by his own sister of rape. Sam Altman is, by many people's estimation, a lying sack of shit, a criminal in a high position of authority with a lot of wealth and power who's going to use that to insulate himself. Now, the average person, the average American out there in our world gets up every day. They get in their car, on their motorcycle, on their scooter, on their bicycle, or walk to work. They look around. They know something is very wrong. They just know. The average person can sense something is wrong. But it's only a small minority that knows the individuals who are responsible for creating the problems we have. It's a small percentage. I don't know, 5%, 6%, maybe it's 4% of Americans know the individuals who are responsible for what's going on. Like that jackass, that anal intrusive bastard at Palantir that thinks it's cute to kill people that he doesn't like. How about Peter Thiel? Another homosexual fruitcake with enormous amounts of power, controls information that flows into our government, into the Pentagon. Foreigners, these people are aligned with a foreign authority. I know, maybe it's Israel. How about Anthony Fauci, Dr. Doom? How about Bill Gates? How about George Soros? How about the CEO of the banks? You know, like Jamie Dimon. People know, a small percentage of us know who is actually responsible. And within that group, the minority that knows who's responsible, there is a tiny minority that knows who they are, what they've done, and out of that, right, a small percentage, a tiny percentage, less than 1%, are willing to do something about it, to take action. And when they act, the world calls them murderer. The government says they're terrorists. But those who are informed, that know what is happening, who is responsible, why they did what they did, who they are serving, these people who are willing to act to try and take out not just a policy. They're not out to change a law. They're out to get the very people who are responsible for taking the actions against us, who are injecting our air with poison, our water with poison, our food with poison, who are stealing our money, our savings, the value of our lives, the value of our labor, and the people that control us with laws that violate our rights. We've got a lot of trouble in front of us. Let's do this. Let's switch over to your comments. I want to hear what you have to say. So we're going to go to the inner circle. Now, let me be very clear. I'm not encouraging people to commit acts of violence. But what I'm saying is, it is going to happen. Whether you or me or any of us encourage it or like it or not, it is coming. Let's start with Chin Music, who says, notice the holier than thou, morally superior demon rats didn't ask Swallows Hard to give up his congressional seat. Doing the right thing? Yeah, go fuck yourselves. To a political party, the Republicans, the Democrat Party, it's not about being morally superior or having the moral high ground. It's about taking and controlling power and not giving it up. Chin Music is correct. They didn't ask him to give up his seat for any good reason. They asked him to give up his candidacy so that their other candidates can win. Because if you had two Democrats running against a Republican, the Democrats would split the Democrat vote and the Republican would win. Not that I believe any Republican, especially in California, is worth a shit. How many Republican governors did we have as Californians? We had Schwarzenegger, a fucking rhino. We had Duke Majan. We had Pete Wilson as governors. Whether they, no matter what they claim to be, they're fucking Democrats. Maybe they're fiscally conservative. Maybe they're a little bit socially conservative in the past. Not so much. Even Ronald Reagan fucked up by giving amnesty to illegal Mexicans. And since then, California's been shit. None of them are there to do the right thing. They are all there to enrich themselves at the cost of our nation, our states, our freedoms and liberties. Thank you, Chin Music. Here we go. Diving Frog checks in and he says, John, I saw a sign in California that stated $10.59 a gallon for gas. Wouldn't surprise me. Whether it's regular, mid-grade, or premium, that's way too much. He writes the diesel was a little more. I've seen that here in Florida. Over the weekend, I did a little bit of driving and looking around. Diesel does cost more than even premium gas. And it's shit gas. It's 10% ethanol, which ruins your fuel economy, ruins your fucking engine. It's shit. Now, what did I see for price of gas? I've seen gas in Florida now go anywhere from $4 to $5. We're supposed to be cheap. Doesn't sound cheap to me. When it cost me over $100 to fill a pickup truck tank, that sucks. When it cost nearly $100 to fill up half of a tank, it tells you we're going in the definite wrong direction. Thank you, Diving Frog. Questions, comments, down in the comment section. Please use all caps. Helps me find what you're doing and saying. Okay. Who's your life? That's a great question. He writes, if we are so oil independent, why worry about Middle East oil? And why are gas prices so high? And why can't they just steer around the Strait of Hormuz? Let's start with the latter question first. The Strait of Hormuz is a very narrow waterway that leads into the Persian Gulf and out into the rest of the world. Iran claims that their boundary extends all the way through the Strait of Hormuz. They claim that it's Iranian waters. On the other side, you have other terrible countries. I think the Yemenis are over there. In any event, you can't steer around it. You have to go through it. It's not a large body of water. It is a relative few miles wide. The Strait of Hormuz, unlike the Suez Canal, is not an artificial body of water. It's natural. But the United States claims to own bodies of water. Let's take the Panama Canal, for instance. Well, it's a partially natural, partially man-made body of water, and it's a system that was created and controlled by America that helps transportation. So America claims ownership of it, control of it, and use of it, and they charge you a hell of a lot of money to use it. because a service is being provided. Iran really can't make that claim, and I get it. I understand it. It's a natural body of water. Why can't people sail by it? Well, because Iran was not doing a fucking thing to anybody traveling through the Strait of Hormuz, be they military, commercial, or private citizens. Iran didn't shut down the Strait of Hormuz until the United States government, at the behest of Israel, joined Israel and started bombing the fuck out of Iran. And Iran said, that's it. If you want to have a war, we'll have a war. The United States government has not declared war officially. We're going to get in very deep, folks. We have started World War III. We just don't have military men and women, boots on the ground in the hot spots, killing people and being killed. I believe that is going to be coming. Now, to answer your first part, if we're so oil independent, why worry about Middle East oil? Because our oil that we pump here in the United States of America is light, sweet crude. It is much more valuable than the heavy, thick, asphaltic crap that comes out of other countries. If we took our own oil, which is controlled by Chevron, Shell, BP, Sunoco, ConocoPhillips, Union 76, name your fucking oil company, Arco, name whoever's pumping the oil out of the ground. And I don't know their actual company names, but they're there. But Texaco, name your fucking fueling stations. ExxonMobil is the biggest. Why doesn't the government say you cannot export that? It is here for Americans. It is high quality. It's available because they want money. It's about money. It's about corporations making money and you and I footing the fucking bill. They're pumping oil out of the ground. The government gets some taxes out of them. They get their export tariffs, even if it's tiny. The government gets its money, but you and I get fucked in the ass, as usual. So you ask, why are gas prices so high? Because we don't get to use our own oil, which would have a much lower, smaller transportation cost. It would have a smaller, easier time being refined from light, sweet crude instead of this fucking black sludge that comes from other countries that is full of shit and garbage in it. Sulfur, asphaltics, right, that are of no use and no good to us compared to our own oil. That's why gas prices are so high. Well, gas prices are also high because our government collects a massive per gallon tax. Our states collect a massive per gallon tax. And that's why our roads are in such good shape. Fuck. These fucking people. There's your problem right there. There's your problem. Additionally, while we're on the topic, thank you, Hoosier, great topic. This Hormuz Strait blockade, you got Iran only letting ships go through that have paid their fee. The Iranians want to charge a fee. And once you pay that fee, you're allowed to sail on through. Well, Europe is not joining the United States Navy. They're actually siding with Iran. I wonder why. There's a big problem here for the United States of America. When the United States of America's allies refuse to help, there is a problem. It's a huge problem. It's way bigger than anyone can imagine. The whole Western world, folks, is basically suicidal. Third world immigration, but then they pretend to maintain some semblance of international intelligence and thought. Europe is not siding with Israel, but Europe, through the European Union, is controlled by Israel. But the European Union doesn't have an army. Only the independent nations of Europe, The sovereign nations have armies. So the sovereign nations are saying, fuck you to Israel and fuck you to Trump and the United States government. It's hard to believe what is happening, folks, but it's happening right now. Thank you, Hoosier. Good topic. Great topic. Let's see. Mikey G has a comment, a statement. He says, end all foreign aid debt. Our national debt will be paid in a few years. I know what Mikey is saying. End sending money to Israel, Europe, Africa, Central America, South America, Asian nations, Middle East nations. Our government sends our money all around the world. They send money to non-government organizations. Hundreds of billions of dollars a year go to NGOs. A non-government organization can turn around and use that money however the fuck it likes. And they do. They do. They send money back to our politicians. It is a money laundering racket. The government knows it because they benefit from it. They've set it up. We need to quit sending money out to governments, quit sending money out to non-government organizations. But our government, that's how they live, man. It's all fraud, theft, lying, and murder. You know, the California right now, the state of California, is trying to pass a law making investigative journalism illegal. Do they not fucking read the First Amendment? They can't understand English. I do admit they're retarded, but I think they know what they're doing. They don't want investigative journalists like formerly Project Veritas, but also that young kid, that young man who went into Minnesota and uncovered billions, hundreds of billions of theft at the state level. He's gone to California and done the same fucking thing. Where's the arrests? Why is the money still being sent out to private corporations, NGOs? Why is the money laundering, the bribing still going on? Because our governments are fucked at every level. The federal level, the state level, even your local government is full of a bunch of grifting, thieving, lying, fraudulent fucks. And they know it. And as long as all of them are in office and all of them are taking a piece of the money, they won't do a fucking thing about it, including attorney generals, including district attorneys. They're all taking the money and they refuse to prosecute one another. They all excuse one another and forgive themselves. They're all on the fucking take. Thank you very much. Diving Frog asks, why are the oil companies not taking care of us, the Americans? Taking care of us first, as opposed to selling everything overseas. It's about the money. Now, if there was an oil shortage in the United States of America, the government could turn to Arco and Mobil Exxon and ConocoPhillips. They could turn to these oil companies and say, look, you're not selling your oil overseas anymore. We are requiring that you sell it to American refineries so that America has the energy it needs. Guess what? Your fuel cost will still go up because it is not cheap, shitty oil. It doesn't matter that the refineries can all of a sudden make gas, diesel, natural gas, or propane, if you will. It's not that making it, refining it easier would lower the price, because they'd say, oh, we have to retool. We've been set up to refine this shit oil for so long that our refineries aren't set up to handle really good quality. As a consequence, the fuel has to stay high, even higher, because we had to pay more money just to get it. And oh no, all of a sudden, because it's not shit oil, we have less asphaltic residue, thick, sludgy shit. So we're going to have to charge more for asphalt to fix your driveways, your roads, your freeways. Everything's going to go up in cost. Oh, we've got the energy, we've got the oil, but you, Joe Six-Pack, you, Jane Wine Bottle, you're going to have to pay more, so fuck you. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't, but always fuck you, American taxpayer. It's a great topic. Thank you, Diving Frog. Let's go over here to, well, Diving Frog again. He says, John, I keep hearing about our water being manipulated for corporate control with high rates and denial of water is going to start the bullets flying. Corporations, mainly Nestle, asshole scumbags like Bill Gates, are trying to control our water. They're trying to say water and the availability of it is not a human right. They want private control of water sources. Bill Gates, whose mother is related to Jizzy Maxwell, very closely related to Jizzy Maxwell. Bill Gates, through his organizations, is the single largest owner of farmland in America. And guess what's under that farmland? Down in the soil, hundreds of feet, are huge lakes, reservoirs of water called aquifers, and they want to control it. Nestle wants to buy all the water in Lake Huron. I'm sure they would like Lake Michigan and Superior and all of them, and say, you can't have that water. We're in for big trouble, but there will be no bullets flying, Diving Frog, until people are dying of hunger, dying of thirst, or being raped in the ass directly. It's not there yet. It's not that bad yet, but it is coming. I talked about who are the people that are committing these acts of violence, going after Sam Altman or shooting that fucking CEO of the medical company, right? They did that because they know that those people are evil fucks, and they're on the kind of the lunatic fringe edge. I don't believe that those people were the actual killers that are being accused of the killing. But the rich people in charge, they are afraid. More of them get killed, they'll go into hiding. Now, let's just say the doctors and research scientists that are trying to expose the COVID-19 bullshit and the Jim Jones juice vaccine injuries and death, they're getting killed. Doctors, scientists, whistleblowers, they're being fucking murdered. But guess what? It's not stopping people from wanting to come forward. But these rich cocksuckers, they're very afraid of dying. They have everything to lose, and so they'll go into hiding. When people are starving, dying of thirst, incapable of affording life, and they're losing everything, they've got nothing left to lose, they will become violent, and the bullets will start flying. And trust me, people like Bill Gates, people like that little cocksucker, Mark Zuckerberg, the Sam Altmans of the world, the Jamie Dimons of the world, the Trump family members, they will all go into hiding. They'll fly out of the country if they have to, because they know that they have earned a bullet with their name on it. They know it. But see, here's the deal. They're trying to steal the water. They want to charge us. They want to make a profit off the water, not as a public utility, as a corporation, so they can stick money in their pockets for charging you for something that we should all have access to at the lowest cost. right? They are greedy cocksuckers. Geez, I wonder what people would be so greedy as to think they could poison wells, fill wells with cement, and then charge people for access to water and make a profit on it. Geez, I wonder what peoples are famous for doing that very thing. They're even doing it in Palestine and in Lebanon right now. Geez, I wonder who they are. But they'll know it, folks. They'll know that they're in trouble. They know they're guilty as fuck. They know that they're scum. Guess what? They'll be the first ones to run. Yes, they will. Let's see what I missed here. I love how robocaller and spam callers always call me at the end of the day. This is going to be my last comment. My voice is out. We're almost at the hour anyways. Nope. I will go check on. Courageous Cat checks Ben and says, have you seen how they are making people in third world countries who do manual labor like sewing? They wear head cameras to train artificial intelligence to take over their jobs. Yeah, you bet. You bet they are. They want the robots to see how to put their hands and complete the work. We are all, remember when they called us useless eaters years ago? They say we shouldn't even have access to oxygen. You should have to pay to breathe. They're now saying that. Fuck all of them. Thank you, Courageous Cat. But yes, definitely fuck all of them. I almost forgot. We got more comments over here. This is Who's Your Life? He says, I think if a couple dozen bigwigs were taken out snipe hunting, which is a game we played as children, they might start thinking twice on the decisions they make. There needs to be a penalty sufficient enough to stop these lying, cheating, stealing, thieving pieces of shit from fucking us over. That's what I think. Okay. Hoosier's back again and says, the Bible says in the book of Revelations, a great nation will be deceived. I think this is the United States, but I think we will rise from the ashes. My opinion, there are still many with morals and good hearts and balls. Comes down, do we have bread and circuses or starvation, thirst, pestilence, famine? We're going to find out where that line is drawn. The United States of America is uniquely equipped to remove our government at all levels, including the federal government, because we have a lot of guns and we have enough people that are decent. Anyways, folks, we're at the end of the show. We're at least at the end, at least at the end of my breath, my voice. But I do want to talk about this. It just popped up. Courageous Cat says, according to the book of Revelations, 50% of the people will be dead by the time Jesus returns. Think about that. 4 billion people dead. Now, I will give you an alternative look at this passage in Revelation where it's described that many people will be dead. What they said is 50% of the people in the world will be dead. Okay, half the people. What was the world to John on Patmos, the island, right? John, who wrote the book of Revelations, who had prophetic visions. His world was Israel, the Middle East, the Mediterranean. That's not 8 billion of the world's people right now. It is several million people. It is many millions and millions of people. You could say that they number so great, they're like the sands of the sea. So it may not be 4 billion people. It could just be half of the people who live in the countries in and around Israel that die. Half of the Middle East is killed off. I hope it's not the world, but yes, around the world, people will also suffer because of what is being done there. We're all being thrown in the meat grinder. Get prepared. Chance favors the prepared mind, folks. If you're not prepared, you'll be out of the game pretty early. God bless America. Semper Fi. Get prepared.